Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mobeck Wycliffe, and I'm introducing to you Diaspora Fox Show in the United States. I'm a Kenyan by birth. I moved to the United States about 10 years ago, and we thought it's very important at times to have our own way of trying to stream our information depending on what exactly that we're looking at in terms of politics, economics, and business as well. So this is a show that is going to be so much engaging, and pretty much is going to be coming live most of the times over the weekends, and this is the first time that we're going to do it live. After waiting over a period of 4 years, now we've done it. We're so much excited to have you over here, and all the subscribers, all the viewers, all the listeners from where you'll be, it'll be so much important for us to be a part of this journey that we're going to make sure we bring about everything else that we've been talking about. So this is a channel that is going to be for everyone. And all of us, we don't focus on things that are going to fight us, but things which are going to unite us. And it's very important. Any engagements, we're going to be listening to music. We'll be related with other media streams that we have around which are cooperated with us with the entire integration. So the Diaspora Fox is welcoming to you all guys who are watching or are live so that you can come with us and listen to us all the time and support us all the time. Please kindly, we ask you to subscribe to our channel all the time. We're going to be having a lot of things that we'll be focusing in our discussions. Thank you so much for everything else that you're putting up there. I welcome you back, all of you, our friends and viewers from everywhere in the world. This is Diaspora Fox America, and we're about to have our guest come in place so we can easily discuss issues which are facing us in the diaspora and by and large in our country where we come from. So we are live from Madison, Wisconsin, and here we go. So we have our guest here, June Nzilani and Mwafrika. Yeah, there you go. June, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I
Hey,
can
June,
hear you.
how are
Yeah.
you?
I am doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see you one more time. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's see you. How have you been?
I'm great.
Yeah,
It's a great day here in the East Coast yet again. Two
yeah.
days in a row, so nobody can complain.
Sasa karibu kukuwa comfortable. Leo nataka upige story kwa Kiswahili na in English all the time in a very more relaxed way. So mambo vipi?
Sawa.
Mm,
Sawa. Mimi niko sawa
uko sawa
kabisa.
kabisa. Habari ya DC?
Disiko salama.
Yeah. What's the weather like all there?
It's sunny outside.
Oh,
Even
really?
though I haven't stepped out today,
Uh-huh.
but from my window, I can see that there's a bit of sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We are still waiting for our other guests, Mwafrika. So mambo vipi?
No, Kamsa, I'm glad to be here. I am excited to see how it's going. I know it's been a long time coming, and so I cannot wait to see what the what this show holds for us.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been singing
Yeah.
for over years now, right? So eventually we're here. We're just so much excited. With my producers here, they are very excited as well to have it just running. And it's going to be an amazing experience so that we can share most of our issues that we have and maybe what we best know and see
Yeah.
what we can do and help our country as well.
Awesome, exciting. It's exciting. Yeah, it's good to be able to discuss and have dialogues
Yeah.
with our fellow folk. I know
Mhm.
it's not something that was always there, and so it's really good to have like an outlet. Sometimes you just need somebody, even at the very least, just kupiga story in Swahili
Mhm.
after we work in corporate all day long. Like the next thing you want is just to feel like you're chill, you're relaxing, you're talking to your fellow Kenyan. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this goes.
Oh, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
mean, like it's just a process. It's been taken as a tall order for us to be here today. Like nasema, like for the last about like 4 years for us to make this day. I said this day today about to be made. I'm even 2 days in early because
Mhm.
we did our work in good timing and then we beat the time. So that's very important for us and we're just happy about it. So others, mambo vipi?
Sina neno,
Mhm,
you know,
mhm,
disiko salama.
mhm.
Yeah, sina neno kabisa.
Oh, okay. So venye tunaendelea kungoja our guest just come Africa. I don't know what happened nini yake. So he probably is joining, but I joined late, but is going to join. So Nairobi vipi? The challenges unaona aje? You voted for the governor. What happened?
I'm going to laugh out loud and say that I, to be honest, haven't
Yes.
voted in Kenya since
You've
I
never voted in
left.
Kenya?
No, no. So I left when I was under 18.
Yes.
I couldn't vote when I left, and I haven't made the steps to vote since. So yeah, I need Viboko, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Oh
At
man.
least at least I don't get to share the blame, or maybe I do get to share a bit of blame,
But
with.
what do you think about the whole thing right now? What is happening? We have the floods and all that. All that what normal happens is, in most cases, we just get information from there, and we have our folks back in the country, and we don't get to understand what exactly is happening. But when you see things just happening on TV, just like that, it just shocks us. And when we really
Yeah.
know there are things that maybe we probably can do, and then we don't have a way that we can do it, up to the point whereby right now we have to catch something that where we can easily push our information from this side of the world to.
Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be a burden. Most of us have family back in Kenya. A lot of us are here, but all our ties are in Kenya. So ukisikia ati kuna mafuriko, or the dollar is high or the dollar is low or the Kenyan shilling is acting up, it's always a point of concern, because you cannot say that you're completely absorbed from being a Kenyan. You're still a Kenyan, right? And so just looking at the current events, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, what can I do? But what really can I do? There's not much I can do other than just support those I can and just be praying that things get better or things look up. But specifically relating to the mafricos, I don't even know what's happening. Like every time ukiingia kwa Facebook ama Instagram or whatever news channel, unaona tu ati things are being submerged. So it's really like interesting to figure out like what exactly is happening. I'm not entirely too involved with all of that, but I know occasionally I do look and I do see. And all I do is like just ask my family, come on, poa, everything is okay. But so far I haven't really divulged myself, or I haven't really been too involved with that, which I should. Come
Yeah.
Zelendo, I should.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so saddening, the fact that just as sisi tuko hapa and then someone makes you a call like, hey, you know what, mtu fulani ambao unamfahamu alibebwa na maji, alisombwa na maji. It's just so disheartening. But at the same time, one of our guests wenye anafaa kuja hapa nilikuwa na swali naye kubwa sana, manake he really so much, at times we can just blame the politics or the political class, but there are things which are beyond that and needs to be looked at on how they can just be solved. But by that, it's a conversation has to start somewhere, maybe, right? So what do you think about the whole thing? Like,
I mean, I think it's bigger than just Kenya. That would be my answer. I think it's bigger than just Kenya. So the environment in itself and all this talk we're hearing about global warming, it's happening. It's real. It's happening. But the problem is, I feel like some people, or rather, places are suffering that aren't even up to par with what's happening, right? So climate change and global warming and all those things that involve the environment are happening globally. But I feel like our developing countries are paying the biggest price when it comes to these things, right? Kunanyesha, tulikuwa tunatarajia mvua. Okay, tumengoja miezi mingi, kulikuwa na famine, kulikuwa na drought, whatever, we're excited for the rain. Alafu ikinyesha inakuwa na mafuriko. So it's almost like, where do we run? Where do we run? Both ends are so extreme. You know what I mean?
right.
It's no longer in the middle anymore. And I wish I had a better answer. I wish I had a greater way to answer it. But at the moment, I do not.
And it's just so bothering, and then we still wondering what is going to happen. But at the same time, I was just wanting to hear from the people on the ground what exactly is happening, because
Yeah.
what they keep saying is things are not working for them because
Yeah.
the floods are becoming a mess, and then that's affecting even the economy wise, because the winds are
Yeah.
not being smooth.
Because where can people go? You can't go. Huwezi ingia matatu, huwezi ingia kwa boda boda. Like your business is suffering, and then at the end of the month you need to pay all these things that you're supposed to take care of. So it's hurting the economy, the biggest thing, right? And I don't know if maybe kuna channels, ama kuna drainage systems that should be put in places, ama whatever the case it looks like. I think it's a bigger conversation than I can offer at the moment. But all I can do is just like, what tunaingia tena tuombe. Lazima tutaomba.
Maombi tena.
Lazima tuombe. Sasa tafanyaje?
The first lady alikuwa shaomba, ameleta mpaka pasta. Alikuwa anasema nini ile pasta? Kutoka
Tutashirikiana sisi wote. Every little bit of prayer is actually really needed, because sometimes the answer is bigger than us, right? And I'm certain the government is doing exactly what they can. But at the moment, they're dealing with a situation that is not, to my knowledge, let me preface that by saying, to my knowledge, I don't know if we've been in this particular environment before, have we?
Yeah, it has, but it's been a minute though. And again, by the time it was happening back then, they had solutions towards it. But right now, you see, more especially like in Nairobi, we don't have flowing rivers. At times when we're in this country, tunaona vitu vingi sana zenye can easily just be translated and integrated in our country. But exactly what happens is because we just choose not to do the right things, right? But we assume like that something is happening, is going to take shape, and then the funds are allocated to do something which is like even trying to curb that. What exactly happens? All that you see is only a few people were able to run about it and just go to help people. The people are like in content creation, like I saw like Eric Omondi. He's just going there, literally was crying, like he saw what is happening. But instead, people just want to have when these kind of things normal happen, there's no way that you can just sit in an office and make policies from there which are going to work on. You have to be on the ground. So it's so surprising
Sasa
now.
unataka ingie kwa ground alafu afanye abebwe pia yeye ndo tusikiaje?
Yeah, mimi sasa ground pia no, I'm not saying that, lakini nasema aje at least kuna that like trying to map it out and bring it in a very cleaner way
Yeah.
by showing that something is happening. Fix problems. Do not give temporal fixes to. I mean, like you just give like quick fixes to very permanent problems like this. You see, like for instance, kama saa hii haya mafuriko, si ndio? Yeah, of course they have slowed down the economy and everything else. So what's the ripple effect for that? Is going to be felt some time in the future. The previously tumekuwa tukilia hamna maji nini, kiangazi imetoka. Sasa hii mafuriko yameingia, and then we do not have a system on how we can trap this water to be reused or to be recycled.
Well, but the thing about it is we're dealing with each situation as it comes, right? Because initially we were curbing famine. Tulikuwa tuna curb kiangazi, tukatafuta miti, sijui tukatafuta plants that are sustainable in the drought or whatever the case was, right? And now here we're hit with a new situation. So I think the thing about it is that they're working as they're developing, or how do I even put this? You're finding solutions as we go, because it's not a thing that we are used to. It's not a thing that we know. So for instance, in the US, let's say like every fall or almost fall, like places like Florida where it has hurricanes, right? They start talking about it. Oh, hurricane, what, the Caribbeans are whatever forming, and that gives people a chance to like put up their shutters, to get ready, to put things in places. But the reason this happens is because we already know the patterns, right? September, October, it's a high season for Floridians or any other Caribbean or Gulf countries down there. So there's like a system in place that's supposed to curb those things as they come. As we're dealing with Nairobi or Kenya, to be quite specific, is we're dealing with something that's coming as we go. We don't know. These things aren't like a normal occurrence. It's not like it's a regular occurrence that happens. And so we don't have the systems in place. Should we have systems in place? Of course we should. Everybody would say yes, but Susambona, we never figured out how to do drainage. Amma, why are we in this particular infrastructure, or the economy is suffering, whatever. All those things that we can look and say, point quickly and say, yes, of course we should have all these things in place because we're a country that's been existing for 50 years or so. But the truth of the matter is we do not. And so because we don't, we have to start from where we are. We're starting from, we don't have these things in places. So where do we go from here? Should it happen again, or should there be a repeat? I'm certain that they would have a way to curb these things. So mafuriko ikianza tena, it won't look the same, or rather the hope is that it shouldn't look the same as it did this year. When I was little, I spent a bit of time in Athi River. And to the best of my recollection, I can remember a time that Athi River flooded, and there was water everywhere. There was water everywhere around where we lived and all that. And so I was so little, but I was asking my mom, "Hey, mom, what's happening?" But that's the one instance that I can remember or I can think of. And so being removed from Kenya for so long and going back, and I'm looking at I'm passing by the bridge, because when I was little, it used to be a really scary bridge and the water was everywhere and it was just
flowing.
Whatever. Yes. And now going back after so many years and looking at the bridge, I'm looking and I'm like, is Athi River still in existence? Because the water has really diminished. Like, I don't even know if it's really flowing, or rather the part that I saw on my way to Machakos from Mulolongo and all that, the water wasn't as mighty or as frightening as it was when I was little. So again, climate change, it's happened, or what rather,
Mm.
infrastructure or whatever the case has, there are things that have caused the water to either slow down or to be a lot. I don't know what really happened, but all I can say is we gotta deal as a developing nation, as a really young nations. Now we're dealing with stuff that's happening and we have to find solutions on the spot. We don't have these solutions in place. We don't have like a history or a pattern or a record where we can be like, oh, last time we used this or this and this. No, we're implementing these things as we go. And that's the challenge. And I wish that we could all just work together. And instead of focusing so much on the frustrations, which there is a lot of frustrations, right? There's frustrations. Biashara iendelee, economy imekuwa juu, unga huwezi nunua, sijui nini nini. Instead of really always focusing on that end of things, we just gotta
Yeah.
work together and find better solutions, right? Government and wananchi together.
Wow. Okay, that's so good, man. I like really your input into this. So I think we're gonna take a quick break as we have Mafrika back on live. We already have him, so we're going to make sure so we extend the next conversation so that we see on what from the ground what exactly that is happening. Ndio atueleze aje ni nini anapiga Sakaja. Mwafrika hataki kusikia sauti ya Sakaja hata kidogo kwa maisha yake. So Mwafrika is a radio host in Base Radio and a podcast host in Ikonini. So we're going to share a lot of things after this break.
So
Sawa. Welcome back after a short break to Diaspora Fox America, and we're having our guest Mwafrika and John Nzilani. We are discussing about the Nairobi mafuriko, Nairobi floods. That's what we say in Swahili. We say mafuriko. That means like it's heavy rains, which is very important in terms of we need to understand in terms of our own language, which we normally take as a we really say that as our heritage, and that's back home. Once you speak to someone in their own language, they will tend to understand better and feel good about it. Juni ni uongo ama ni ukweli wa mambo?
Ukweli huo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're trying to wait for Muaf to join up. I don't know. I think he's having some technical issues, so I hope he'll be able to join in a minute. So we were going through the solutions, and then he was saying something about policy making. You know, we have sufficient policies, though. You know, but I know as a legal scholar from where you are, you feel like we don't have sufficient, which is okay, and I understand that. You know,
No.
hey,
That's not what I'm saying,
of course.
right? It's not that they don't have sufficient. I just think that every time you're dealing with something new, every time you're dealing with something that you haven't dealt with before,
Right.
you have to go back and you have to re-examine from a different point of view. So maybe they have some in place, or maybe they had a way before, but we're at a place where we don't really know how to deal with the current situation. And I think that they're looking for solutions for the current situation. Won't you agree?
I agree with you, but this is the thing, though. I would want to imagine. You know, the problem is implementation of the policies which are already in place. You know, that's a really it's a whole thing which is coming as a problem, because when you have sufficient policies, because how many policies are going to create? No.
Well, it's like a football match, right? Every whistle to me, as in American football, every whistle to me means a new rule.
Yeah.
And so if you're gonna blow like 100 whistles just to make 100 new rules,
right?
Why not? We can't really assume that we have sufficient policies or everything is dandy. It's really not, and it's glaring at us, right? So the sooner we get to making better or different policies, the better for us.
Okay.
And I'm not even entirely sure what policies we can make against Mafrico. I don't know. Maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, but you know, this has happened over a period of time. For the past like 4 or 5 years, I've seen that. You know, the roads, when this happened in Narok County, when the roads were swept off, right? I don't mean like they don't happen anywhere else in the world. You know, the rains are there. You know, everything else is happening. Even the other day, yesterday, I saw something which was happening in Nebraska. All the tornadoes and all that, all the houses were swept. You cannot plan for a tornado, but you at least can have a future planning for it. Like, you know, you must have safe spaces, safe shelters when the tornadoes normally come, and just go hide under. The same thing normally happened in Alabama about when 2014 to be precise. So these things are there. This is nature call, right?
Yeah.
But the implementation of the policies which are put in place, that's the challenge that we have right now. So is there another way that we can just see the policies which are already put in place can easily be implemented so that we can just cover these kind of problems that we already have? That should be the question.
So what do we feel like it's missing?
Yeah, I say Mwafrika is here. Mwafrika is a host radio in Best Radio, and if I'm correct, is it Best Radio? And host of Econini podcast. Mwaf, how are you? Can you hear us?
Econini podcast.
Econini podcast. Unajua?
Sijata sijaisikia before.
Oh man, I don't know what. I think you're not a diasporian. You don't know Econini.
So, can you hear me on your side? If you could just chat and tell me if you can hear me, so that I can change. I want to change. And start using these headphones.
No, we can hear you very clear. Mwaf, Mambo, how are you?
Okay, so it seems I'm the one who can't hear. So let me see what we can do here. I'm going to have to use this.
Can you hear us now? kweli ni iko nini. Iko nini, kila kitu imekuwa iko nini. Everything is what's up. I see my producer is laughing at me like, what's happening? Iko nini. You know what the meaning of iko nini is? It means like, what's up? Yeah. What's up? Yeah.
Maybe you guys want to continue while he's...
Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear? Can you hear Smurf? I think he has to directly use his
Hello?
laptop. Yeah.
Okay, so I can hear you now. Yes, yes.
Awesome.
I don't know.
After a fight.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening because this is what I use.
I know you're good with these gadgets now. Today they challenge you up.
Yeah, this is like the first time
Mr.
I've
Oled,
used
how are you?
StreamYard. I'm good. Yeah, so I'm Africa. Hi.
Nice to
Africa,
meet you.
this is Ilani June. She's a legal scholar from Washington, D.C., but she's Kenyan. She does human rights.
So I've got to correct that. I'm not a legal
please.
scholar. I'm an actual attorney.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, yeah. You know, legal world. Thank you for that correction.
I'm an actual attorney. Put my title where it really belongs.
Yeah, so Mwafrika, a podcaster, and what else? I guess a Kenyan. So that's basically me. Yeah.
So Mwaf, we have a question that we've been dealing with right now in Nairobi. It's so funny now this time around. I'm the other side of the microphone. You host me, I'm hosting you now. It's works out. First of all, thank you so much for honoring our invitation to come to our show to discuss this. It's a premiering show, and I really appreciate your time. But we're going to go straight to the points that we were talking about, and we just see if we can find solutions to them. And because the diasporans are worried, people live in the diaspora because they don't have direct what exactly is happening because of the floods and everything else that is happening in Kenya and the economy. So it's a lot of things that we can uncover with the time given. But let's just go directly to what is the problem. And we're going to come to this because I know I want you to tell us what's the problem that you have with Sakaja. Sakaja will never say a word without you attacking. Yeah, so that's what we're going to come to. But first of all, I just want to hear your opinion about what you're going to do with the floods, because it's just a while ago when I was talking to you, you said like Ian has to leave early because you can't afford someone to be somewhere away from home. They don't know what's going to happen next. Is that right? So what is really happening?
What's happening with the floods? I think it's just it's what's called a natural disaster, I guess. But now I think we are criticizing Sakaja because of the reaction. You know, like what is he doing about it? Because there's nothing he can do about the rain, because the rain will still rain. But what is he doing about it? So like today I was interviewing Robert Alai. You know him, eh?
Yeah.
And Alai was talking about the fact that even something like fire, like fighting fire, like fire brigades, we don't have enough even after devolution. This is close to how many years of devolution? We still can't fight fire. So how are you going to fight floods? Yes. And then like when they talk to Sakaja and they ask Sakaja, like, are you worried that we might impeach you? Sakaja tells them that I have enough money to pay off MCAs and that are going to run against you and defeat you. So you see, this is the reason why we just criticize this guy, because he went in, he's made a lot of money. Like I hear right now, he's a Kenyan billionaire, a shilling billionaire, that is, and he doesn't care. So he knows, like right now, I think he's still protected by the president, so he's safe. So that's what we get for getting someone in who has fake papers, and right now he has a lot of money. Like that's the word on the street. Even the word in like the Kenyan County Assembly is this guy has enough money to stay here for as long as possible. So now another thing he's been threatening people with is that he's going to make enough money, take a 15-year pause, and then come back after 15 years when everyone has forgotten, because he's young enough to do that. So you can see like the way he's literally full of shit. So that's why we talk shit also about him. Yeah.
So I mean, let me just get this straight. Sakaja just got into office like 1.5 years. Is it 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And I would want to assume, and I don't want to say this from this standpoint, because a lot of people say Sakaja is my friend, or no, I won't say anything about him. Another, no, we know that friends. We know each other from back then and all that, but we're not friends. You know.
Yeah.
So the question here is, how these governors are just so funny, but there are times. But I don't want to speak for all of them. Just a few individuals, you know, like who are not even able to have very simple things. And I know Nairobi is a challenge at times. They keep saying, like, you know, when he was coming into power, what surprises me so much is, and it pains me to myself, is like most of the diasporians, the way Sakaja was trying to sell out himself during the campaign and all that, it made us believe is the perfect solution to Nairobi County, right? And then some of us spend over $1 million to travel to Kenya to go and vote for him. All that we get back is just a shock of the day, or that we can, our investments, things that are happening, you don't even know what is happening. People really invested, like they say, places like in Kilimani and all that. Now we have high rises coming up. People are losing the value of their land, the value of their properties and all that. Everything is just mixed up. But without even losing focus on what we are saying, let's just talk about something which is very current right now, about the floods.
The floods.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
so
is
with the floods,
yes,
I wouldn't even blame Sakaja, because like even right now, is it the Minister for Interior, the Cabinet Secretary, that is Kithure Kindiki, he's told people that if you try and cross a place that's flooded, we're going to charge you with attempted suicide. You see, so the way this government works is just threats. And you know, like a lot of people who are trying to cross those dangerous places is because they don't have a place to sleep. So it's either you get rained on the whole night, or you try and get home. So if you see someone else has crossed safely, you're going to assume I can cross safely. So I had, like yesterday, I think it was in like one of these places, Utawala, like there's this truck that passed and everyone was like, oh, this is safe. The second truck that tried to pass like was swept away. So you have such things that happen. And now when you hear that the cabinet secretary is saying that if you try and cross such a place, you'll be charged for attempted suicide, you see, now this is what we're talking about. So you can't even blame Sakaja. It's like the whole system. Like, you know, the way Kenyan politics works, you try to make as much money as possible when you get in. So everyone from the president to the deputy president, everyone is just trying to get rich, and everyone is focusing on 2027. And then you also have to look at the Kenyan reality, where politicians get what I'd call unconditional love. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're still going to get voted in by the same people. So I'd say, like, maybe you in the diaspora, you know, like the way Republicans are just Trump. Kenya now, it's on a ethnic level. It's Ruto. So Ruto is he's sure, like everyone who voted for him in 2022 will most probably vote for him in 2027. So he just has to have like the worry has to be just about maybe a few communities, maybe like, for example, maybe the Luya. We can talk about Natembea, who's coming up. So maybe that might disrupt his Wetangula vote, but he's sure that 9 times out of 10 he's going to get the 100% of the Kalenjin vote, and he's also going to get the Kikuyu vote. So he does not care, like whether people die or people don't die. He knows that vote is guaranteed. So when you have such a situation, coming up with solutions becomes very hard, because you're not accountable to anyone. You're just accountable to yourself. You just have to go back home. Rachel asks you, how was your day? You're like, my day was okay. Anything happened? No. Yeah, that's all that matters. So that's the level that we are dealing with. So I think right now it's not about Sakaja, because, you know, the floods are everywhere. Right. Like I even saw, like next to my, you know, my Mahio, that road, yes. So there was a mudslide. So the mudslide, they swept off like part of the road. And I think I've had something like close to over 30 people have died just because of that. Because you know that road is dangerous even when it's not raining. So now you can try and imagine. Yes, you can try and imagine adding rain to that and then a mudslide. Like it's just a disaster waiting to happen. And the whole country is not ready. It's not just about Nairobi. So when it comes to floods, even like last week, I remember I got into an argument with people on Twitter when I was saying that when it comes to floods, we can't blame Sakaja. We have to look at the whole system. But now, if we are to look at Sakaja, we'll just look at his reaction in Nairobi, and the slums, because the slums are the most affected. When you tell people in the slums to seek higher areas, if you are in Madare, are you supposed to go to Muthaiga? You see, you understand? Like there's no higher area to go to.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, here's the question. You know, I was talking to Nzilani a while ago, and we were talking about on policy making. And I was like, I think we have sufficient policies in place, but
Yeah.
the problem I would want to imagine is the implementation and the will and the intent of the leadership, which is because if we don't have a plan on how to approach that particular issue, what's going to happen? We are most likely to going to lose a lot of people than even what exactly that is happening right now. So I just want to imagine that, because I think which state department that is really responsible for the loss of lives, because when it comes to that, is we can call that security, you know, internal security, right? And at the same time, we have I don't know how the military works though, but they can always come, because this is now a national disaster. They need to come into play and just find a way. Like you said, that the road which is being swept off, the Kenya Defense Forces can easily come in, try to guide themselves in and just trying to have their road just stretched out back into place to be reused again. So once the roads are impassable, what happens? The economy just slows down. So we have a situation here whereby the politicians, all that they care about is they just want to take things for themselves, feed themselves first, and they be okay that way. And the rest of the Kenyans already in place, they already voted. Because I saw something like sometime back I watched in your podcast, you said like, what is his name? The Minister for Roads, Kipchumba.
Murkomen,
It's
Mr. Gucci shoes.
Yeah, Mr. Gucci shoes. What did he tell a voter? He said like, your work is to vote, not to ask.
You work. That was a joke. It was a joke by Rapture. Rapture is the one who was joking that like when this guy who stopped Murkomen to ask him for a job, and he told him there are no jobs, he was just reminding me that your job is to vote. After voting, you just go. I'll see you after 5 years. So that's basically what Rapture was trying to put across. But so the work of the voter is to vote. After you vote, sort yourself out.
Yeah, and wait for the next voting season. So what happens if from your own perspective, according to you, if you are in the same position, would you think that easily can work, and how can we approach that issue for the flooding and whatever, the roads are just impassable and all that?
Yeah, I think the whole thing is that it's called disaster preparation, the way you know that if this was to happen, this is what we'd do. So like you remember last year when we were being warned, or was it early this year, we were being warned about El Nino. So it was like El Nino is coming, El Nino is coming, El Nino is coming. Then you had even the president of Kenya saying that this thing is not coming. There's going to be rains, but the rains are just going to be enough for us to do our farming. So you see, when the president is also going against the science, now what happens? Everyone else who believes the president is chosen by God is taking this message is coming directly from God, that we don't need to prepare for these floods, we don't need to do anything. Then the reality sinks in. A flood starts and it's everywhere. It's from Kisumu to Homa Bay to Nairobi to Makueni, and there's no reaction. Like, now how are we supposed to deal with this? Because even the floods in Mombasa should have prepared us for this. You remember Mombasa was flooding?
Yeah, it was flooded so bad.
Yes. So that should have prepared us for this. But then I think I don't know if the president, sometimes maybe he believes what he talks about, because he portrays himself as this very religious guy who talks directly to God. So I don't know if he actually believes he talks to God, because we were warned. We were told El Nino is coming, the rains are going to be excess, and there's a risk of flooding. So this was there. That's around the same time that Sakaja said he was going to buy boats. Remember, he said he was going to buy boats to help people. So for us to be this unprepared, and then when you hear that Nairobi does not have like a functioning fire department, you see, now you start seeing the reality that this is not just about anything. This is not even about Sakaja. It's about like the whole system. Because now the most efficient governor that we ever had, according to Robert Alai, is Kidero. And you can try and imagine how we still thought Kidero was not good enough. So how bad is Sakaja? Sakaja right now is rated the 46th governor out of 47 governors. I don't know who number 47 is, but he must be. Then you've had stories like, even right now there are days when Kajiado County collects more revenue than Nairobi. Does that make sense to you?
No, it
So
doesn't.
you can try and imagine, like, I think it's just corruption. So if we were to work on the corruption, I think we'd be ready. Because
Hold
if you're
on,
talking about Kajiado making more money than
say
Nairobi,
Kajiado collects a lot of revenue than Nairobi. How? With
yeah,
all
yeah,
these
there are days when Kajiado collects more money than Nairobi.
from where?
So I don't know. So so that means that the level of corruption in Nairobi is crazy. So right now, apparently, we are collecting less revenue than we used to do with Kidero. And you know, Kidero left like close to 10 years ago. So you
Mhm.
can try and imagine if 10 years ago we were making more money than right now, how much corruption is happening right now. And that's why you hear Sakaja can say that, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. I can buy the next person to defeat you in an election, because he knows there's money to be made, and he has a lot of money and he can fight. And so I don't think the solution would be disaster, that the preparation for disasters, so natural disasters, be it floods, and I guess Nairobi is mostly about floods, and also just even things like fire. Like we should be able to fight all this. Like if we had those like California wildfires in Kenya, you can try and imagine how many people die, because there's zero.
So do you think
the-
right now the diaspora intervention, because remember back then Miguna was trying to come in on board, and it was fought so fiercely to the point whereby I could not make it. And with his policies and with his passion and with his intent that he had then, I mean, to me, I would say if someone asked me a question about Miguna, I would say like he was trying to come up with something which is going to help us in Nairobi County as well. So do you think
yeah
Miguna could be much more different into it?
Yeah, Miguna would be different, but you see, the problem with Miguna is he's not a politician. So, because as a politician, you have to understand you need other people to be able to come from point A to point B. That's why you see, like, if I was to use an example of the American elections, you'll see as soon as Trump wins anything, even other like Republicans who don't like him, the likes of, is it Mitch McConnell or something, they all surround him and they're like, this is our guy. You
Right.
see, and so that means that in politics, you have to be able to work with people you don't like. Miguna, on the other side, can't work with people he doesn't like. And you see, that means that as much as we all hope that he can end up being a governor, he'll never get that, because this
So
is
do you
going
think
to be the guy.
Miguna is just fishing for likability, right? He just want to be liked by some.
No, he's not even fishing for that. In his mind,
Yeah.
there's an ideal world where people can just elect him for who he is, and he does not need anyone to help him get elected. So he does
Okay.
not need a UDA ticket. He does not need an ODM ticket. He just needs to be Miguna. And it
But the
feels
way
like Twitter.
the way you're putting it that way, that's from the political view. I'm only just talking about like the reservation, the point that he can be the best governor, or he can
Yeah. If he was to be elected, he'd be
because
the best governor.
What's gonna happen is he's gonna treat Nairobi as a corporate entity, maybe like running a company, right? Whereby you have all this manage and everything else. Because it's going to be, it's not. I don't think if the political class in Kenya would want to allow such a person to run Nairobi based on what exactly has been put in place with very bad investment, with the managers acquired from weird sources. So I mean, to me, that's what I'm asking. Like, do you think, in hindsight, like this guy can easily become one of the best governors? And I'm not saying this just diasporian, because I think people keep saying like, oh, the diaspora is trying to take something away from it and all that. So I'm only just trying to say like the point that the way Miguna was trying to put this thing in place, do you think it could make him, we couldn't be having this kind of troubles, because he had a whole map on how he was working on all things according to his manifesto?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. With Miguna, yes, if he could get into power, yes, he'd be one of the best, if not the best. But the problem is he can never get there. So that's why I can never focus on him, because I feel like this is a guy who's going to attack everyone. And since he attacks everyone, he's always right. He's never made a mistake. So he's not meant for politics. He's meant for activism, but politics, no. So I'd never think Miguna is going to. yes, I don't think Miguna is going to save us. The savior will have to come from someone else who understands politics, and politics is like, even the way that I'm a big critic of Sakaja. If I was in a situation where we could work something out, I'd be there like, yeah, and people would be like, oh, Africa, you're a sellout. But I understand that's how politics works. Like, there are no permanent enemies, no permanent friends. Miguna has permanent enemies and permanent friends, and that's why.
And now you see, now we already this is already happening. I just want to finish up from these flooding topics and with the Sakaja thing and all that. What is the possibility of trying to solve this situation, and like what is the advice that we can give Sakaja? Because clearly it looks to me like he's not listening, or he's not listening to the people on the ground, the people really going through this, or he doesn't see something's happening. As much as you said, apart from whatever that he said, it can never be impeached and all that, of which we're going to ask Kajuang is going to come on the show as well. Because all governors are afraid when they hear Sifuna, Moses Kajuang, and those likes, what is his name? The Senator for Narok, Ledama Olekina.
Yes.
And some of those good, but don't forget, Sakaja when he was the senator, he was really doing so well for himself. You see, So up until the point whereby he moved that ladder to be the governor. But now let's just now we already have a problem in place. Whether he listens or doesn't listen, we have to figure out something else that is going to come on board, because now we can never keep now arguing every day in every social media platform, every radio station, without finding solutions towards it. What is that thing that we need to steer towards that and see, like, this is what's going to happen?
Before you answer, let me ask, is there anything that's been done so far? Because we don't want to talk from a point of ignorance, right? We want to see, has there anything that's been done so far? Has there been any solution? Wafrika mepata at the very least government assistance.
Okay, I think what I saw yesterday was the deputy governor went there with some mattresses and helped out, which was good. Like, we can't. So there was some foodstuffs and some like mattresses for people to be able to, at least get something to sleep on. So that happened on Sunday. I don't know what has happened on Monday. Monday, all I know is the latest news that I've seen was the cabinet secretary telling people that if you try to cross a dangerous place, you'll be charged with attempted suicide. So
So has it been declared a state of emergency already? Is Nairobi
No, it's not.
No.
I don't think the president is going to do that. He cannot, because you see, when these kind of things are happening right now, this is a fetching, is a situation where there are people who are making money out of it. So it's a source of revenue for other people. And once this looks like a party to them.
I don't want to go that route, right? So I'm just going to allow you to speak, but it will be hard for somebody to fathom that somebody is making money out of the backs of suffering Kenyans.
Oh yeah.
Hey, this is Kenya. This is Kenya, man. Like,
that's possible.
Get a chance to be rich. That 50-cent philosophy: get rich or die trying, man. That's Kenya. Like, I don't think anyone is ashamed. I wouldn't even be surprised that the money for the mattresses came from the office of the deputy governor, and the prices were inflated. Like, that's the Kenyan way, and people have come to accept that. And because the biggest cancer that Kenya has is ethnicity. See, so like, the way, if you want to know how Kenya's ethnicity is bad, I'd say Kenya's ethnicity is worse than America's racism. You understand? Like, systemic racism. Like, our ethnicity is worse than that. So you can try and imagine how bad that is. Because now people know they can get away with a lot of stuff as long as the president is on your side or the deputy president is on your side. You can get away with a lot of stuff, especially corruption. So now with corruption, what happens is, even if right now a report was to come out and they're like, you know what, the prices of the mattresses were inflated, the prices of you'd find one side of Kenya saying, no, that's okay, as long as he helped, and then they'll ask you, what did you do if you're in the same position? So those are the people.
But how is the common Mwananchi, the educated Mwananchi, the one who's seeing all these things happen, people like you, how are you guys stomaching this without any complaint, seemingly?
No, I think online we will talk. We'll talk online, but now the problem is we are not voting this year. So we are voting in 2027. Most probably there won't be any floods then.
Right,
So
but why must we
people
wait
will
for
have
another 3 years if the situation is dire now?
because there's nothing you can do about it. Like let's think about like if right now Kenyans were to be like enough is enough and they started protesting, there'll be enough rubber bullets for everyone. There'll be enough tear gas for everyone. Like that's the one disaster that Kenyans are always prepared for. The police are always prepared for dispersing crowds. So riots, we are fully prepared. Are dealing with a situation where people are dying. I don't think we're that prepared. You can look at even the president. I think he spoke about this like after 3 days of like floods, people die, then on the third day he was like, damn, I need to talk about this. And I think the only reason was because he went to Naivasha, and when he was in Naivasha he bought a car, and people were like, hey, look at this guy, he's buying a car while Kenyans are dying. So the next day he had to release a statement.
Who bought a
uh,
car?
yeah
President?
Ruto. Yeah,
He bought a
he
car
bought a
from where?
car like Naivasha. It was to show that Naivasha is the new Tokyo Kayak or something. I don't know what it was about, but it was something close to that. So I don't know.
I think
So I
I
don't, I
would
don't think there's a
say,
solution.
I would say that I think we have a lot of misplaced priorities when it comes to issues. It comes to Kenya on how to manage disaster management and all that, because people really don't care. Let me just say with a lot of specifics without even blaming people. Maybe we have some leaders who are doing their craft very well, but a good number, they're just making something out of it. It's just like, let me go there, feed, and leave the stage while the music is still on and while the people are still suffering. Because you see, you see everything else right now is just turning into social media, and everybody's just trying to show us what they're able to do and what they're not able to do. Okay, but and again, why are we afraid? Why are we ashamed of our failures instead of tackling our failures from that mindset? Because everyone is just showing and they are posting success, because no one learns from success pretty much, right? But the major problems that we really have are not being solved. How can we shift that into something else? Because I see again from the people who influence who run the social media industry per se in Kenya, they don't come to speak out because they have much influence into it. And again, now Raila is left the stage pretty much. Now, who's going to fight that? Amongst all those 3 questions that I've asked you, what do you think? What is the way forward?
Wow. Kenya. You see, the Raila question is always goes back to the fact that this is a mortal man who at one day is going to leave stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the fact that he's also old means that the solution has to come from the younger generation. Because another thing, if you were to look at the Kibakis and everyone, these are people who started politics in their 20s. Like even if you were to look at the president right now, I think the president right now is he 57?
Yeah,
I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 57.
Yes, so if 57, that means he was born in 1967. 1967, that means he also born 1967. That means by the time he was doing Youth for Kanu 92, he was 25 years old. So this is someone who, from 25 years old, has been earning a lot of money, and this is the same person now telling the youth to go for wheelbarrows, you see. So, and the youth are ready for the wheelbarrows. So I don't know where the solution is. I think the Kenyan solution lies in Magufuli, but a Magufuli with a thick skin, because a Magufuli with a thin skin would also not work with Kenyans, because Kenyans are also used to like freedom of expression and the rest. So but I think we need a leader who's going to show up one day and be like, you know what, enough is enough. No corruption from today. And then there's no corruption. But
is that day coming?
What we have right now.
Yeah, because corruption is already a topic that we're discussing now. What are the solutions towards that?
Yeah, we need to get that leader, but I don't know where that leader is going to come from, because everyone, the worst thing about Kenya is we've made everyone believe that politicians Like politics is a way to get
Yeah.
rich. It's not a way to bring change. It's not a way. So now changing that ideology, hopefully we TikTok and the rest can do that, because every day there's a political analyst on TikTok saying these things. Our parents didn't have the same like level of information. So let's hope maybe with that people can start thinking differently. But I'd say that if you had to ask me if there's a solution that we're going to see soon, no, because I think Ruto is going to be president for at least the next 7-8 years. So who's going to come after him? Now, because politics changes a lot, so we don't know who might be the next president after him. That is if he does not try to change the constitution, because he really loves that seat. So you've had people trying to talk about. So you see, this is the sort of leadership we have where everyone is about self. I. So right now everyone is fighting for Ruto to, like some people are fighting for him to change the constitution so that he can keep being president. And you have other people who are sleeping hungry on the other side. So it's, I don't know.
Wow. I mean, it's just a throat cutting when it comes to issues, when you see things happening like that, and then we don't have solutions towards anything. And then at the end of the day, what we discuss is on how people are becoming rich on the next elections and all that. Yeah, the last time that I saw another thing that happened that I thought we should talk about, like the governors came to New York, the lady governors. Who was that? Gladys Wanga and Wavinya Ndevi and
Yes.
Susan Kihika. And they were dancing in New York, Times Square.
Yeah.
And all that. I saw a lot of reactions from Kenyans online and everywhere else, but that one, it's faded off like nothing else ever happened. See, these are the leaders who come with taxpayers' money into this country. And they go back to Africa with nothing. They have not learned anything.
Yes.
You hear those governors that I've spoken about from their counties where they come from. Those are counties that can easily earn this country and Kenya a lot of revenue if they put their counties into place. Because let me just get this right. The county revenue allocation is a lot of money. It's billions and billions of shillings, right? If we just put it into dollars, it will be billions and billions of dollars, right? But there is no single thing when a governor comes into place that you can point a finger to and say, this was done. That you can easily just say, this one is a revenue fetching capital investment, right? Something which is going to even employ more people. But the same people, they come into this country whereby it's just not the first world country. They end up dancing in halls and lifts and hotels where they go to, but they don't go back with very significant amount of change of their own counties. It worries us, those people probably who understand about business and all that. And at the end of the day, it's just circling back into poverty, corruption. The money that was supposed to be put there is no longer there. Okay. So the governors just get out of office without anything that is going to regenerate revenue for the next coming governor or for the people back there. But you see, these are a lot of money. No questions asked. What can you say about that? Does it bother you? The same way it bothers us? Because you see, if you come to this country, you come to Madison, for instance, where we are right now, for instance, and they just put the hotels out there, you didn't meet anyone. And then at the end of the day, I come back to your county after like 6 months or 1 year. You spend millions and millions of money to come here to say benchmarking per se, right? But you go back, you didn't do anything. Nothing happened. You didn't do anything.
I think with that, it would go back to what I was saying. You see now, people, there's this saying in Kenya where we say politicians are the real celebrities, yes? And we know celebrities for living extravagant. So now if you're coming to the US, you have to like sleep in the best hotels. You have to do that. You have to live the life, the celebrity life. And the celebrity life also means going to Times Square and dancing, you see. So, and then the people back home, they don't have that. They don't have that luxury. So now if you're coming to the US, you have to like sleep in the best hotels. You have to do that. You have to live the life, the celebrity life. And the celebrity life also means going to Times Square and dancing, you see. So, and then the people are okay with that. Because I remember, like, when I went on my rant about that, I think I did it on one of the podcasts, and I remember like seeing a few comments that were like, just let people enjoy life. What problem do you have with it? Because people never look at the fact that this is taxpayers' money. This is money that could have been used to do 1, 2, 3 things. People always have this image in their heads where Kenyan politicians are very good businessmen, so they have other hustles, and these hustles have done these things. So that's why when you see like Murkomen, before he became a cabinet secretary, no one knew him for his Gucci shoes. Right now, we know him for his Gucci shoes. No
Now
one
it's
knew
just
him for his
about that.
expensive
We want to wear
watches.
whatever we want to wear. It's
So
okay. You know.
yeah,
I'll take you to
yeah.
Vivian.
So
The Gucci.
yeah, like and then so you're representing people from Elgeyo Marakwet. You understand, like where
No,
poverty.
hapo na Versace wanakuangalia vizuri.
They don't even know what
Yeah.
you're wearing. They don't understand what is Versace or what is Gucci.
Yeah,
But you know, this is
like if you
yeah. It reminds
if you
us of
accidentally left your shoes
No,
there,
I'm
Yeah.
totally joking. I'm totally joking, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's
If you
something that I
accidentally
read.
left Gucci, I was trying to say, like, if you accidentally left Gucci in Elgeyo Marakwet, they'd be sold for like 500, 100 shillings.
Yeah,
No
because
one
people
knows.
don't understand what they are exactly. It's just like
well, because that's
you know,
not the priority they have right now. People would rather buy
Yeah.
unga,
yeah.
right? Which is okay. But Sasa now, are we going to punish each and every politician just because they're wearing Gucci or Versace?
It's not about that. I think the Gucci Versace thing, I always use it as an example to just show the disconnect. You know, like
Well, there's a
you're
huge
representing.
disconnect, right? There is a
Yes, yes.
huge disconnect because even as it is, I don't know, or I don't suppose that Kenya, as small as it is, should have that many political representatives or that
Yeah.
many county people or whatever division that has happened. When I was in Kenya, I left 8 provinces.
So
I
now
don't know what happened to that. So
but
now
this-
it's like
this
42
was my
counties, right?
this was my
7
question. though.
7 counties.
Zilani. The county revenue allocation is billions and billions of shillings. Okay, that is allocated to these counties, right? You know, I would want to imagine if you are governor, you're like a CEO of that county, right? You want to run. It's just like let's say, for instance, it's just like a state governor over here, right? You have access to a lot of things. You have access to all this money. It's political and all that. This allocation, county revenue allocation, right? But at least you can have something that you can easily point to and say, okay, I was given 50 billion, and then this is what I did. The money now is going back to the taxpayers as well. Okay, but these countries don't make anything. But the same governors are there, flying so high, driving high-end vehicles.
But
But when
who
they come to this country,
exactly?
let me tell you,
My
Jim.
question is, who exactly is at
Jim,
fault?
let me tell you.
And I'm not saying that they're both not at fault, but who
Yes.
bears 51% of the fault as the other person bears 49%? Because somebody is allowing these things to happen, whether it's lack of resources or lack of education or lack of knowing better. Somebody is allowing these things to happen. I'm from Machakos, right? So whatever Machakos County, however it's allocated, if people don't know that these resources are there, or if people aren't educated enough, or if people aren't even aware, or it's as little as my need right now is unga. I don't care about the female genital mutilation, for instance, right? Just giving an example. So who is at fault at these things? Is it purely the politician, or does the mwananchi also have a little bit of burden to bear?
I think if we are to talk about, you can still hear me. Don't know why
Yeah.
I feel like my mic is low. Yeah, okay. If you're to talk about the mwananchi, it's what you've just talked about. You've talked about someone who's worried about what they're going to eat. You see, if I'm worried about what I'm going to eat, these things like making politicians accountable becomes like something that's not in my priorities. I leave that to the middle class. But now the middle class in Kenya, as long as you can drive your 8-year-old car, that's called new in Kenya, you're good. You see, like if you're driving your 2016 Toyota Premio, you don't care about these things. So I think the middle class is what lets down Kenya, and now making the middle class like be involved in politics would be, because they can sway the vote, because now you have the
Yes.
majority that are down here, and the majority that are down just follow tribe. They don't care, because they don't care about taxes, because like if you're down there, you're just paying taxes on the things you're buying, but you're actually not getting your pay cut, like your paycheck is not getting sliced by whatever percentage. So with that, the middle class, the ones who are suffering with these high taxes and what, they're the ones who are supposed to be accountable. And most of them on the other side, they just want that in quote soft life. And we want our New York in Kenya. That means if you can hang out every week and like have some drinks, then go home, we are good. So as long as there's peace and we can make some money, we have a salary, we are good. So
priorities are misplaced.
those people are the problem.
So everybody has misplaced priorities at large, right? It's not just one particular entity that has this.
It's just first of
lost
all,
its
one,
way.
misplaced priorities, at the same time, no accountability for anything else. And if you try to counter that, they have a way to go around it. They only go for those people who don't have friends and all that, who don't even know how to maneuver themselves around in terms.
So then maybe the discussion needs to start from priorities and accountability.
No.
It needs to start from
the discussion should be, how do you uproot them from where they are seated?
Well, but the people to uproot are the same people that we're saying that have misplaced priorities, right? We're the same people that we just mentioned that are driving the 8-year-old cars and they're okay, nishapata job, I'm secure, so I'm living the soft life, quote unquote. So that's where the dialogue maybe needs to start, right? Because they're the same people that have the burden to uproot or to approve, right? They're the same people that have the burden to say, as Kenyans, we don't want this. As a taxpayer, I don't want this. But if you're okay with it, how then can you start a dialogue? How can you even look outside of yourself and see another mwananchi who's lower than you, who's suffering, who is not at your soft life status yet? How can you even start to have compassion on that person if you yourself don't see anything wrong with what's happening? Or rather, you see, but you're not doing anything about it, right? So maybe the dialogue really needs to start with accountability on, quote unquote, the Kenyans, and then we transfer it to the government at large.
I think Mobeck has dropped his internet or something.
And
So I think that has happened. Yeah. He's back. He's back.
It was a technical age, First of all, let me apologize for that, because it's the first time we're doing this, and we must have a few things that's going, like technical issues here and there, but we're gonna have everything situated back in order. I know Mwaf understands this better. So let's go back to the what we are saying.
Wait, what? CPME, I'm understanding.
Are you?
Spare me, I'm understanding. Of course I am. What are you talking?
You can sue us legally. I know.
But don't mean in Kenya. Allah.
Zizi, I think anasema the technical difficulties, like the way they
I'm
held
understanding these technical difficulties. I can live. I can understand.
I think I need to talk to Tyler. He's my producer. He knows what exactly that happened. So he's laughing at the back end. So anyway, Moaf, this is a lot of county revenue allocation. Do you think anyone stupid can do something which can easily stand out? I think that's a lot of money. But at the end of the 5-year term, and this is money which is being allocated like every year.
How do we know it's a lot of money? Sorry, I keep interrupting, but I guess I just have a few questions. For what I know is the Kenyan government is broke. Where are they getting all this money?
No way.
No. It's a broke in quotes. The one you put. Because we are still borrowing. I hear we borrow how much?
Yes, we're borrowing, but we're not able to pay back because the tax at large is it is in question, right?
Now,
So if the government
we
doesn't
are losing,
have money, where is the county
no,
government getting money
we are
from?
losing focus on that. Let's just say, no, irrespective of everything else, we already have the money. Money now, let's just go back. The money is already allocated to these individuals, to these governors, the CEOs of the counties, right? But someone cannot even come up with a plan on how to put that money into work. Not to all governors, though. I'm not going to put this, but a vast majority. For instance, like a governor who's coming from the northeastern provinces, whereby we don't have a lot of things to do with the money. You can easily do a lot of things. You can just put that money into something in bring revenue to other people.
I think the problem, as remember, like I was saying, I don't think these people worry about things like legacy. I think now the problem is why do people become leaders? In Kenya, you become a leader to get rich. And this is true for like 99% of them. And also, I think there's something that Alai told me, like on the podcast that's up, that's going to be dropping on Wednesday. He said something like, if you give Kenyans a choice between electing a saint or a killer, we'll choose a killer 99% of the time. And you're saying that the reason before that is we've come to believe that someone has to be heartless and what to be able to survive in the Kenyan scene. So when you have such mentality, we end up having the problem that we have, you see. So I think so we can't sit down and be like, let's wait for this person to come and save us. I don't think it's going to happen.
Wow. So the money is going to be lost anyway, and the case is going to go to the Senate. They're going to listen. Do you think the Senate is being corrupted as well? Because I think when I'm going to host Moses Kajuang here, is a chairperson for Public Accounts Committee, and we're going to ask him these questions. Though we just want to make sure, like all these investigations that they normally do, where do they end up in? Because we rarely ever seen people who are being removed from office unless they have fighting issues with other political leaders and all that they don't agree on with. So where do they head? And when they allocate this money, these are capital investments that they go to, because money can never leave the national coffers to the counties without having a proper allocation for that particular thing, like maybe infrastructure and all that. So, but now how it ends up in wrong hands is what we don't understand, right? And it's very unfortunate at this era 2024 in this world of AI right now with technology and everything else, that we do not even have a system on how we can track taxpayers' money on where they're supposed to go, what they're supposed to do, how that money is supposed to. And again, we have experts who are unutilized, okay? But all we do is just keep complaining without finding solutions towards the problem which are really affecting us in the counties and all that. Okay, so we will blame them from point A to Z. The previous governor was here, did this ABCD. So another one comes up with a new idea, ABCD, and all that. Okay, so if Irungu Kangata is doing something here from Murang'a County, and they should be having something else which is at the receiving end in terms of investments, I would want to imagine that way. And then, so they should have this correlation whereby the point whereby now we understand each other, the money that we had, we are given from them. Just bind it. Just find a way. Experts of investments should be in place. But who do they use in doing all these things? Because all that we see is people blaming the government, people blaming the governors. But we don't get to find the solutions.
Okay. I think, you see, the solution would take, I don't know what, we'd have to change our whole mindset. And that's why I'm hopeful that maybe Gen Z, because Gen Z are growing up in a very different time from like some of us. Right. So Gen Z are growing up in a time where there's information is everywhere. So they can see the disaster, they can see how it's being handled, and they can see people questioning it. You see, like during Moi's time, you could not question, yes? And then during Kibaki's time, you could question, but there was no platform to use to question. During Uhuru's time, the platform started coming up. And now in Ruto's time, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they are both like super active. So that means that right now people are getting the information. So now it's now waiting and seeing are people going to execute this? Because you even see there's something I was saying, that the way kids are told voting is not important, like this won't change anything, this is going to, and now it's trying to get them out of that, telling them that even the internet that you're using today, the only reason you're using it and Ugandans are not using the same internet is because of the politics. The politics in Uganda, everything has to be approved by Museveni. The politics in Kenya, there's freedom of expression, freedom of word, freedom of speech, and so we can question these things. Like in Rwanda, you can't even have such a show like what we're talking about right now. If you are having this and I was in Rwanda, right now I'd have already been grabbed, you see. So now it's for us to try and teach Gen Z that politics matters. And then you remember the president won with a 200,000 gap.
Yes.
So now if you get enough middle class and enough Gen Z to vote who are not going to vote, they can tilt the vote to one side, you see.
So before I move on to the next segment, because we are going to take a break in a few, I just want to ask you this question. Do you think the leaders are really benefiting out of ignorance from the voters and all that? Because I think ignorance, even in the whole world, okay, this is what I always say. The Western world is really benefiting out of Africa because of ignorance, right? Because it's a $1 billion business, actually. People don't want to trade or share information that how the world is moving. All that we do is just we concentrate on the wrong things with misplaced priorities that are not going to earn us anything. So do you think the leaders in Kenya as well do the same thing? Like they choose not to inform the people of what is happening? And do you think the Kenyan diaspora should come up with a way, because this is a whole voting block of almost 4 million people who are left in the country.
Yeah.
You know, you always make fun of me, like I always fight for the diasporians all the time, but because I see the potential and all that, and the exposure that I've had. If me as an individual, all these years that I've stayed out of the country, and what I'm able to see, what about someone else who's an expert or who has the similar interest about the same way that I have? And so into our next segment that we're going to ask these questions as well before we take the break. Do you think the leadership in Kenya really benefits so much in trading ignorance to their advantage?
Yeah. Yes, you see, apart from ignorance, I'd also say when you make people believe that poverty is just a part of life, taking advantage of them becomes easier, because you've already told them accept your situation. After you accept your situation, any small help that I do is enough. So you've accepted your situation. Now, what was the price of unga? The price of unga was 200 shillings. I brought it down to 170. You just saved 30 shillings. You can use these 30 shillings to buy yourself some skuma wiki. So why are you complaining? You see, so now when you do that, and then you find now the ignorance, our ignorance is also like rooted in ethnicity. So if I can tell you that ethnic group is the enemy, and you believe that, then we're good. So I'd say yes, they take advantage of that, and then they take advantage of the fact that you can tell Kenyans anything and they'll believe. Before this flood started, both I'd say three people. You had the first lady, you had the president, and even had the Nairobi governor, who'd all said, we prayed for rains and the rains are here. And I remember even Sakaja bragging. Sakaja was bragging. He was saying, like, when we were praying for rains, they thought that the rains are not coming. Now, look now. We'd already been warned about El Nino, so we knew the rains were coming. But you see now the ignorant masses are like, yes, we prayed for rain. That's why the rains are here. That's why. And do you know who prayed for the rain? Benny Hinn came from America to pray for these rains. And now we have the rains. You see, so now when you have... yes. So if you have such people, do you know someone who thinks that without Benny Hinn showing up in Kenya, there would be no rains? Do you know how hard it is to convince such a person that they can be a better tomorrow? They won't see that. They'll just see we have a praying first lady. Because you see now, that was the first thing that happened. Like as soon as Uhuru left, we were told, now we are a praying nation. We have a prayerful president. We used to have a drunk president, you see. So now those are we take that as a win. Oh, the president is sober 24/7. That's a win. Is the cost of living down? No. But the president is doing what God would want a president to do. Uhuru was doing what you understand? So
It's just
I don't.
it's just a game.
The
So
ignorance level is so high that.
June,
Mm.
I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you the same question before we take a break. We're going to take a break and come back for the last segment, and then we
Okay.
finish up. So the question that we're asking here: do you think hope is sold to Kenyans in exchange of ignorance as a trading tool so that they can make money? And yeah, it's not laughable. It sounds laughable, but it's the truth. They sell
No,
hope.
I'm not laughing. I'm just grinting because that's a really loaded. It's a
Yes,
really, really, really loaded question, and hope,
hope. Yeah, butter trade. I sell you hope.
hope
I give
has to
you
be
ignorance.
given,
Yeah.
right? Hope has to be given. Others, what are you gonna say? Are you gonna say that there's nothing to be done? You can't say that. There's no way you can ever open your mouth and say that. There's no way that you can say this is it. This is the last end of the. This is where our it's wits end. You can never say that. So what do? You present a better tomorrow. Hope has to be
Yeah.
given. Hope has to be given. There's no way you're gonna walk around it. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I
I
think
don't know. Can
Mark
I
will
can I
decide.
call it? Can I?
Yes.
I don't really think I want to call it ignorance, right? And there's a sense of ignorance somewhere, like us saying that even he prayed. Anybody can. Anyway, I'm not gonna go to that part, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
is there a little bit of ignorance? Yes, it's sprinkled all over the place. But at the end of the day, ukiangalia mtu ako Kitui akujaonyesha. Oh, okay, sorry, forgive me. I'm not from Kitui, but just assuming kuna
Yeah.
drought
Yeah.
for a whole
Yeah.
year. So somebody in
Mhm.
Kitui, it hasn't rained for so long. And so now here is the rain. Are you really going to tell him that he wasn't believing for the rain and the rain is here? You can't.
So what I
And
hear you.
he's not ignorant. He's been waiting for the rain because he knows msimu wa mvua waja, sio?
So that's what
So
I'm saying. That's what I'm
so
saying,
it's
June.
really it's not
Yes, that's what
I'm not
yes.
gonna call it ignorance. I'm not comfortable calling it ignorance, and I won't call it ignorance. I'm gonna
What
say
should you call lack of knowledge
I'm not going to
or lack
call
of
this
information?
particular situation ignorance, right? I'm going to say there's so many nuances that need to be addressed, and they're all very unique, right? You live in Kitui, you've been looking forward for the rain. You got the rain. You're not ignorant. You were expectant of it, or you were hoping that it would come, right?
Okay.
You live in Nairobi. You know there's a situation with global change and climate change and whatever. What have you been doing? So I don't want to call these people ignorant. I just want to call that we're in a situation where we're dealing and we're finding ways to deal with it as we go. I'm not going to open my mouth and say it's ignorant, and maybe it is ignorant,
Yeah,
but I'm going to say
agree.
you've got to peddle hope. You've got to peddle hope every time you get, because otherwise, what are you going to tell people? Oh, this
So
is it?
Ben Hinn should come in and that's give us hope that the rain shall
That's
come.
not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Please
I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
don't quote me on that end. I'm just
Yeah.
saying there's a really fine balance between telling people that tomorrow has to be better. Us voters have to know that tomorrow, whoever we elect in 2027 has to be better than what we're experiencing now. And that's the essence of hope. We have to operate from that mindset, because, okay, so what's the whole purpose of us saying that 2025 is going to be better than today, or May is going to be better than April? There's an
Okay.
essence of hope that we have to carry.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. You guys, all over our viewers and everyone else from around the world. We are live from Madison, Wisconsin, United States. The Diaspora Fox live, and we're gonna take a 10 minutes break. Kindly, as you're watching this, kindly go ahead and just subscribe on our buttons and just find a way. There's a ring button down there, which is going to help us get the new feeds that are going to come up each and every single time. We'll be back in the next 10 minutes. Thank you for watching, and you can just streamline and just listen to the music which is playing in the background. We'll be back. Thank you.
BeatStars.com.
You feel like you got nowhere else to go. No, I'll hold you till the sun comes in the morning light. Yeah, I'll keep you safe, I'll never let you go.
BeatStars.com.
When your heart is racing at the speed of light, and you feel like you got nowhere else to go.
BeatStars.com.
No, I'll hold you till the sun comes in the morning light. Yeah, I'll keep you safe, I'll never let you go.
BeatStars.com.
When your heart is racing at the speed of light, and you feel like you got nowhere else to go. No, I'll hold you till
BeatStars.com.
the sun comes in the morning light. Yeah, I'll keep you safe, I'll never let you go. When your heart is racing at the speed of light, and you feel like you got nowhere else to go. No, I'll hold you till the sun comes in the morning light. Yeah, I'll keep you safe, I'll never let you go.
BeatStars.com.
And we're so happy to have you here with us. Mwaf,
Yeah, Niels.
poa. Sasa, we're having the last segment so that we can
Kwani sound in a loop?
the sound loop.
Oh, okay, I think saa tuko sawa. Nilikuwa nasikia kitu. I was hearing something
okay.
like
All right. So, I'm asking you now, this is the last time that we're supposed to have. What is the last involvement with the diaspora as per se? Because the people have really suffered with everything else when it comes to more especially like information that we were talking about. They don't have that first-hand information. You know, for us even to come
Yeah.
up with this podcast is just maybe probably trying to get that first-hand information, which is trading from both countries or from everywhere around the world. And how do you think that is going to happen?
that's a collaboration between like
Both
diaspora and Kenyans, or
information, yes. And how can we give
How-
it back so that we can easily see on how we can give the correct change? Because no, most diasporans are investors in Kenya, right? Like you can
Yeah,
say 90%,
yeah.
all of them they invest in Kenya. And
Mm.
when they see all these things are happening, it's just insecurity, right? Which hope
Mm.
how can we give as Nzilani is saying, like hope, we trade the hope into it.
Yeah, I think it's when was it? The president a few weeks ago said that he was trying to double like the remittances from the diaspora. So I think the diaspora has more power than they'd want to believe. So it's about you people engaging. Like if there are those town hall meetings every time like a president shows up there, those would play a role, you know. Like if you can start organizing those like town hall meetings, even for like a governor like Sakaja, because I remember seeing a time where Sakaja was had visited the US. So I feel like that would help, like some sort of like meetings where people can be like, yes, we are sending this money, but can we get 1, 2, 3 things done also? I don't know if he'd take you seriously, but right now, since the president is trying to get as much money into the economy as possible, maybe he would, But I feel like the fact that the diaspora brings in money, it's going to be taken more seriously than the average, maybe mwananchi down there who's not bringing in anything, like who'll just be taken seriously, like in the year 2027 when it's time to vote.
But how is that going to happen without, representation? First of all, acknowledgement is one thing. Representation is another. Without being on the table of policy making, there's nothing that you can do. Otherwise, anything else that we're going to discuss here is going to be roadside declarations. You see that, and which they really enjoy so much. And I would want to say, the diaspora disunity, right, is an advantage. The same thing that I was saying about ignorance about what is in Kenya right now, from a good standpoint, right? So the fact that the diasporans are very busy working and everywhere else in the world, and they don't have time to engage into active politics in Kenya and active things which are going on in Kenya right now. Maybe they only see things on social media and all that. So they may not even have that hands-on without being a part of the decision making on the table. And what is the marginal possibility that you think that one is going to happen? Because the diasporans are really eager to see that. Like yesterday, over the weekend, I was discussing with a friend of mine in Ohio. So Steve told me a lot of things. He was an architect. He left the country like about 25 years ago. And the reason why he left the country is because he never had an opportunity that is going to help him. But that guy is an architect over here. Is doing a wonderful job. So for him, he doesn't see anything happening in the future, if we do not have that representation. But on how to approach the representation for it to take place is the challenge, because the diaspora, as per se, remember from the discussion that we've had earlier in the first interview that I did with you, I think I did with Dr. King sometime as well as the same. The diaspora attempt is very divided. It divided into pieces when it comes to regions, counties, tribe, and all that, because that tribe kind of tried to extend into this country over here. So, because already there are people already identified themselves with political parties and all that, and which is not going to take us anywhere else without having a proper formula in place or a formation in place, which is going to help us. What do you think is going to happen, according to you, from your hindsight?
With the diaspora, it's tricky because at the end of the day, the diaspora these are just Kenyans who've left Kenya. So most were on the ground, and if you left Kenya as an adult, then you know what's been happening. So you'll have your views. Like if you are someone who gravitated towards the opposition, you'll always be on that side because you're like, maybe these opposition guys would do a better job with corruption than these other people. Maybe these opposition guys would do a lot of something different with inclusivity. But then if you are on the government side, you're like, I love the status quo. So that's now the tricky part. Like if you left Kenya as an adult, I think it's very hard to change your perspective just because you're abroad. And you see, you'll also still have family here, and the family here will tell you that we are the guys on the ground, and since we're on ground, we feel like this person is the right person because of 1, 2, 3 things. That's why I feel like the only way the diaspora can change anything would be now, yes, this person is the one in power. How do we engage them and see if 1 or 2, 3 things can happen? But I don't feel like politically, when it comes to the politics, the disunity is always going to be there. Because you remember when I was saying that Kenya's ethnicity is so deep-rooted that I'd say it's worse than systemic racism, and to say that is a very powerful thing because you can look at that side and look at maybe mass incarceration and all that. So for me to say that this is worse, it's because I know like the way it's spread everywhere, where I think it's today, like I'm really looking forward to people watching me and Alai, because Alai was talking of the fact that there are people who show up and they just stand next to the city hall entrance, and these people are millionaires because they help you get stuff done at city hall. So you can try and imagine someone who just shows up every day, does nothing, just waits for people like, oh, so what have you come to do at city hall? I'm following up on this payment. And they're like, sir, you're going to give me a part of the payment. I'm going to facilitate for you to get this payment. And they just go in there and they do 1 or 2, 3 things, and then they come out and they're like, here's your check. So where's my cut? So you can try and imagine that level of corruption. How do you see? That's the system, and the system is so bad that anyone who left here because of the system will always have their reservations. And yeah, so I feel like we'd have to look at the diaspora as just people bringing in money into the economy, so that gives them some sort of power to say 1 or 2, 3 things, and that's what they do. But changing the politics, I don't think it's possible.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, this brings a challenge. Remember, we had a deputy governor from the diaspora for West Pokot. And that gentleman went through a lot of havoc. And personally, I didn't like the way he was treated, the fact that we came from the diaspora. It made me feel like when someone leaves the country is pretty much forgotten, and maybe their idea. So the only thing which comes into this person, the people would want to disagree on a few things, like they tend to think maybe by the virtue of the fact that, someone is in the diaspora, the money that they give back is just not pumped directly into the economy, but it's indirectly pumped into the economy. Even that one person that you help in terms of an idea or anything else, or trade the idea back from Kenya and all that, or engage the people there in terms of business or whatever that we do, is a very good show, right? So do you think the same thing that happened to that governor, the deputy governor of West Pokot, was something that we need to look at, and just from the political side of it?
With the deputy governor, I understood why he was treated that way, because I think they say that as soon as he was voted in, he left the country. So he'd not been back for 4 years, and he'd been receiving a salary. So I think even for him, he was treating it as a ceremonial job. It was not something that he was taking seriously, because I feel he was practicing medicine in the US, yes? So that was his full-time job.
That's
and
correct.
Then he was a part-time governor. So for him, I somehow understood why his situation was what it is. I feel like what he was making in America most probably was so much more than what he was making in Kenya. So even for him, I'd say he was in it for the money. Because if he was in it to serve, he'd have been like, you know what, I'm going to leave my practice here in the US, go serve, and then come back after, if like we are re-elected, or but the fact that he decided he was just going to leave and he rarely came back to Kenya.
So the people lack the
I'd say that
passion.
he's not.
He
Yes,
lacked
I'd
the
not
passion
say
of
he's the
serving.
best representation.
Yeah. So what you're saying is once you lack the intent and the passion to serve, the person. He gave us a bad name as the diasporians, right? So
Yes.
So we need to approach the how can I say, like from the whole thing, the whole system of legislation and representation from a very different perspective. Now that we already had a bad show, because I think we need to find him and just ask him what exactly that happened. That's something he can speak for himself, because we don't want to speak for him, but because he showed up in a few interviews here and there. But by and large, the moment you don't show the intent to serve and with the passion that is required, the expectations that are put on you can never be delivered, right? So, but anyway, I would say like that's how you guys look at it, and then maybe there's a different person who will look at that thing from a very different perspective. So, but up until that we have him on the show and ask him these questions, and that's when we can get the correct answers. I think June is not here. No, she just left. So,
I am very much here.
Yes, June, we can't see you.
Very much here. I am dealing with some sort of allergy. I'm sneezing around, so I'll be back on camera after I blow my nose.
Yeah, we're about to finish up, so we're waiting for you. We only have like a few minutes before that. So, Moaf, you've been so supportive of the diaspora, and you are a number one consumer of the diaspora watch time and all that? Am I putting you on the on the spot?
No. It's because
Yeah.
the diaspora also supports
Yes.
me, so it's like it's a mutual,
A mutual
you know,
relationship.
yeah,
Yeah.
mutual benefit.
So you
Like
are in business
both
with the
sides.
diasporians, like directly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you
Mm.
benefit directly from the diasporians, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, what do you think about the Diaspora Fox America show? Because the fact that you've been behind the scenes in the entire development from onset out when we started out up to this point,
Yeah.
you built a great ideology, a great ideas into it, I say. And we were so much thankful about that. We so much appreciate it. And the fact that you're the first number one guest to come into our show to share this experience for the first time when you're coming up on air. So what are your thoughts?
I think it's like the fact that you guys are out there. It will also be interesting to see like 3 people in the US just talking, and I'm just here listening. I think that will also be good. So as you look for guests, make sure that you also get people who are just there, like the way June is there, maybe another different person who's there, and you can just have the discussions, and we can hear like the Kenyan perspective from the outside. So I think that would be good, but it's still a good show in that, yes, we are going to learn so much about the Kenyan perspective from outside, like people who understand Kenya and now are living outside. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I hope you just know that consistency is key. Like you have to do this whether you feel like doing it or not. You'll have to show up.
Corey's listening, is laughing behind the scenes. He's like saying like, hey, we gotta do it. We already started out today. We went out on air, and it's gonna be coming up every now and then. So June, are you here?
Yes, I am here.
Yes. You're back on camera.
I am.
Yeah, don't sneeze. It's all right. So we understand it.
Hey, I don't know what I'm dealing with here.
Yeah. So did you had the question, right? What is your thoughts about the Diaspora Fox so far?
I think they can use a bit of more. We can be a bit more involved, right? I think I always try to tether on the politically correct answers because Saki Kenyans on Twitter to come after me. I hear that's a real thing.
Yeah, because you're part of the host of the show, so they're gonna come at you. So you gotta be ready for that.
No, so the thing about it is, I think in the diaspora, because of the way the things run here in the US, there's a system to it. So we always want to, why can't they be like here? Or why can't we have policies like here? We need to get away from that a bit and then look at Kenya for what it is, as an entity as it is, right? And the people in the diaspora, we can do a bit more to be involved in these situations or to, when you gather together, then you disperse. What is that called? Yeah, we can be more collective. We can be more supportive. We need to do a little bit more understanding, but also our voices need to be heard, right? We cannot be called at the diaspora, some Abanis that don't know what's happening on the ground, activities got different on the ground. That cannot be the top, the name that we're given. We have investments there too. So things do affect us. We have families there. Things do affect us. But I think if we come together and try to be a bit more open-minded and to work with the government to find solutions, it can be done. Is it going to be done in the next 5 years? No. But can it be started today? Absolutely.
So we must have a stepping stone first. So that first milestone is very important because we must, now it's time for fighting. It should be over at some point so that we start now focusing on things that we agree on, right?
Utter blame shifting. That stuff should be over. If we truly care for the well-being of Kenya, all of us, ni sisi wote wananchi, wazalendo, everything, we should get together and work it out. Find situations where we can plug in, find situations where we can stop the bleeding, find situations where we can correct the bleeding. All those things need to be like this. We need to be really involved. We can't speak from like, oh, Acha want a good, sufficient drainage system. Of course they don't. Of course they don't. But what can we do about it? How can we advise? How can we find engineers that can implement these things? How can we be more involved? If we're past the point of saying, oh, serikali inafaa kuingilia, or the government is so corrupt, or they're just eating money. Whatever we've been saying so far, it needs to end, and we need to get in there. And we need to, the knowledge that we have, or the little know-how that we have, we need to start. There's a word I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I remember in the next episode when we're gonna have
Right.
So
We need to start implementing, like dispersing all this help that we have or knowledge we have in order to help our Kenyans.
Oh, okay, thank you. One last word, Moaf, so that
Yeah.
we can close in.
Thank you for inviting me for the first episode. Yeah, and I can only see big things happening because you talked about like having someone like a Juang on the way, so it's going to be interesting. Just like it's just a word of encouragement, just like you encouraged me. I'm going to encourage you, and remind you consistency
Yeah.
is key. So make sure you're consistent, like you're predictable. People know that every blah 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 day they can tune in and they'll find you, or
Yep.
they can log on and they'll find a new show. Yes, that's all I can say. But good luck.
Anyway, thank you so much, Mwafrika. Mwafrika is the host of Economy Show and radio presenter in Base Radio in Kenya. You can always find that. What is the megahertz for? Oh, it's just
No. Base Radio is strictly online. That's
strictly
Base
online.
Radio.co.ke. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
strictly
we're so happy to have you in our show, and we're always looking forward to host you more often. Maybe we can find you on a call every time that we need you to come here and give your insights and contribution towards what we are watching forward to. June Nzilani, the human rights lawyer working out from DC, Washington.
Yeah.
Washington, DC, right? Did I get it right, June? You know, you keep correcting me all the time.
I don't keep correcting. Sasa utaniharibia jina huku nje.
Yes. So, yeah, but anyway, thank you so much, June, for coming in. June is a lawyer, for human rights lawyer in Washington,
Thank you
D.C.
so much for having me here.
No problem. So I ask you, all my viewers and our listeners from wherever you are in the world. So keep looking forward. We're gonna have our guests coming up in the near future, and then we're gonna discuss more. Let's engage more. Kindly go ahead and subscribe that button.
And Mwafrika, thank you so much for such insightful input that you had. It's always good to have somebody on the ground that tuambie vitu kwa ground ziko aje. You know,
Vitu ziko different, eh?
That's the phrase. Vitu kwa ground zinakuanga different. Yeah. Really nice meeting you. Mobeck. Thank you so much for having me here. I look forward to many more talk shows, and I hope you get all the subscriptions that you
subscriptions and all of them.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you can support us. I mean, like we have a lot of things which are lined up. You know, we'll be having Mobeck collections whereby if we are a golf player, we have a lot of things coming along the way. You're gonna buy golf clubs, golf balls, workout gears, and all that. We're gonna give them out to the
Mwafrika, you see how these people in the diaspora are. Wameanzia golf. Hata watu anzi na can afford.
But you know, we've had sponsors for golf who are coming up on board. So what
imagine wametuanzia na huko $400. We don't even set
So if you get a workout kit, are you gonna say like it came out from the golf department?
Imagine that I'll be just fine.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna have a lot of things coming up with our sponsors and all that, winning prizes. But you're gonna answer the questions that are coming up upon that. Maybe reference to shows. We're gonna partner with the Econini podcast all the time.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to
nikikuja kwa ground, let's do a show when I'm there next to
Yes. But then Moff is coming in June, right?
Huh? Yeah. Supposed to be there in June.
Moff is going to be here in June. So
that's my birthday month. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's also my B-day month. I was born on June the 13th.
June 5th. Hello, fellow Gemini.
Okay. Yeah, Gemini.
Anyway, from us here in studio, Diaspora folks, in Madison, Wisconsin. We are very thankful for you tuning in and all that. We're looking forward to see you and give us your contribution and make us proud. We are proud Kenyans. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.
Sante, peace.
Peace.